we have had the most changes this quarter than we have in the entire year. So I'm gonna get into I've got a couple things I want to share curriculum wise and just kind of give updates on how life has been going. And I didn't want to save that all for an end of year curriculum review because that's I'll share that one coming very soon. And I'll just kind of give an overview of what curriculum we used and liked and all that. But I want to specifically just talk about this last quarter, the last 2 months or so that we have finished with school. As of right now, we have about 2.5 weeks left of school. So we're trying to finish up and it's kind of a mad dash to the end. I don't know if you feel the way I do too. We've finished some subjects, but we're still trying to wrap up a couple others. So first I want to share just a couple things that we have changed and added to our curriculum. First, we have finished, this is Who Am I? This was from Apologia. This is a biblical worldview of self-image. I planned to have this last the entire year, but we finished it a little bit early because I was going to do a Christmas unit and an Easter unit, and I ended up just nixing those, and we just continued with this. So we finished early, and what we're doing right now is, and I've shared this a couple times, One Blood for Kids, what the Bible says about race. This is from Master Books. It is written by Ken Ham. He is a famous creationist apologist, and it just goes into the biblical and scientific evidence that we are all one race, which is the human race, and from there it just kind of speaks into it. So we're almost finished with this. We're about 3/4 of the way through, and so I'll give a little bit of a more review when we do finish it. It's going from creation to, I assume, Jesus, because we're not quite there yet, but just how biblically and, like I said, scientifically, we can all trace back to one group of parents, essentially, which was Adam and then Noah, and how it would be possible. And so it's very interesting, lots of thoughts, lots of discussion. So we're liking this so far, not quite finished with it, but we should finish this by the end of the year. And then for science, let me get back to that. So for our English, my girls, they're doing BJU Press English, and they're in level 4 and level 6. And I had planned on, I do their writing together. So it's grammar, writing, grammar, writing. They do their grammar pretty independently, but the writing we have done together. And I have a whole video on that if you want to check it out, how I do that and what it looks like. But for sake of this video, I won't share too much. But the one writing project that we were working on that I had wanted to do in March was a research project. But I think my daughter was sick or something for like a week or two in March, and it just didn't end up happening in March. So I said, well, we'll do it in April. Well, here we are like mid-May, and we're still working on this research project because it has just gone by very slowly. But I am proud of us, and I say us because I'm doing it, right along with them and guiding them through step by step. My 6th grader is obviously much more independent than my 4th grader, who needs me to hold her hand a lot more. But it's something that we kind of all dreaded, but we're doing it and we're working on it. But it's definitely taking a lot of time. And so, but it will feel so good once we're finished with that. So that is, we're working on that every day, and they're still working on their grammar. They want to finish their grammar by the end of the year. And I know not everybody loves, that's their priority to finish their books, and, kind of whenever the end of the year comes and rolls around, they call it a year, and that's fine. But all of my girls kind of have this like innate desire to just like, no, we want to make sure we finish. And while that is something that I do like to prioritize as well, it's not like something I've hounded in them from the beginning. It's just like they want to make sure they finish, which I applaud them for. I think there's something to be said about, starting something and finishing something and having that closure and that feeling of satisfaction, completion, and doing the job start to finish. And so they're still working to try to finish. They have finished some other things like Wordly Wise. Both of them have finished their Wordly Wise, my 4th and 6th grader, you know, spelling, things like that. They're pretty much wrapping all of those things up. But so they have a little bit of extra time to work on their grammar and their writing. Now, my other daughter, my 4th grader, I had shared this at the beginning of the year, and I also shared this in her, I just released what she'll be using for 5th grade, and this was part of it. I think at the beginning of 4th grade, this was just too much for her, and so I was like, that's fine, I'm not worried about it, like if you get to this later, you get to it, if not. And she just picked it up one day and was like, I'm gonna start doing this. So there's this, and then there is an activity guide that goes along with it. So it's a reader. I have done, if you want to check out my video, I've done kind of like a flip through it and explained more into this. I'll link that video down below, but it's a reader and it's just a compilation of a bunch of different stories. And then there is a corresponding activity book that goes along with it that covers not only like comprehension, but it covers like literature basics, like the plot, the characters, the storyline, and all of that type of thing. And so, but at like a 4th grade level. So I like that it's actually introducing formal literature. So she is doing that. So she just she picked that up just again in the past couple weeks. And then what else? She picked up this, she found this was on our shelf. She was like, she's my workbook girl. If I just gave her nothing but workbooks, she would be happy. She loves herself some workbooks. So if you have a child like that, or if you are leaning towards that way, don't let all the other homeschool moms like scare you out of that. There's nothing wrong with workbooks. I know that is not popular and is taboo and like poo-pooed on to have workbooks, but some children really like it and they do really well. So she has this is primarily logic. It is for grades 2 to 4, but it's just kind of introducing logic concepts. She actually checks it herself. She's actually quite far into this. There's just different logic exercises, and then she checks her answers at the back. So again, that was just something she has started in the past couple weeks. And then I do like social emotional type thing. It's not like the public school version of it. I try to do it like from a Christian perspective, although I will say this is from American Girl. So this is not a Christian perspective. I do kind of tie what they're saying, and I put a biblical emphasis on it. Like I always bring it back to the Bible and back to God. And so that way they're getting that. So I'm not opposed to using secular resources as long as there's not like huge, agendas or anything like that. But if it's like a neutral thing, which I know people say there's no such thing as neutral, which I can see why people say that, but I don't know. This is like pretty harmless to me. Again, I bring it back to the Bible, and, because sometimes it's like, trust your inner self. And, so that is a really good talking point, because let's be honest, they're going to face things that, in the world that says, trust your inner self. And so I would rather them be exposed to that in my house when we can have that discussion and we can talk about, well, what does that actually mean? Why is that not true? So that gives us a lot of opportunity to have that, and for them to be like, oh yeah, kind of gets their mind turning. So anyway, this is called Your Happiest You. It is the care and keeping of your mind and spirit. I would say my biggest thing with this is it always talks about like school, right? It's written for like kids who go to actual school. So sometimes I just like my brain sees that, so I'll like skip that part, because they're kind of like, well, we don't go to school. And then the other thing, it talks a lot about cell phones and texting, and when you're on the internet or get an email, or mostly like texting. And my kids don't have phones. So sometimes I'll be reading and then it's talking about like texting. And so I just will like, and then I'll kind of skip over that just because that's not applicable. And then it brings up the whole conversation. Why are they always talking about texting? Why are they always talking about phones? And like, why can't we have it? It gets into a whole like can of worms that I just don't want to get into. So that would be my biggest thing with this. But overall, I think it's pretty good. We did the other one. What is it called? The Feelings book. It's on the back of here. There's a bunch from American Girl. This is like an older version. I think the newer versions apparently aren't as, I don't know. You might just look out for the reviews on the newer versions, but the older ones are pretty good if that is something that you're interested in. I don't think they have a boys version, but I know there's maybe not American Girls, but I think there's boy versions as well that are similar to this. I just don't know what they are because I have all girls. And then the biggest thing that we have done, that we have changed is, so a couple months ago, I started a video. I didn't start a video. I put out a video. Oh gosh, I can't speak today. Put out a video and it was talking about my curriculum choices for next year, like things that I was thinking and considering. And one of you commented, since it's an election year, why don't you do a government course? And that got my wheels turning. So I had looked into several government courses, and I had narrowed it down between Not Grass, Uncle Sam and You, which is a middle school full year government course. And there's one from The Good and the Beautiful, which is called Constitution and Government, which is not a full year. It's like 30 lessons. So I really debated back and forth if we should just go ahead and do a full year of government for next year, or if I should just kind of do The Good and the Beautiful one, which is kind of like more of like a unit study approach to it. So, oh my goodness, I struggled. I really did go back and forth, but ultimately I decided, let's just continue with our history. We have done early American history this year. We'll finish around Civil War time, a little bit before that. And then next year we'll pick up Civil War to current modern American history. So I just figured that would flow a little bit, keep it more consistent and concise and keep it flowing. But I still wanted to learn government and have, or teach my children government and have them learn that. So I did end up going with the U.S. Constitution and Government course from The Good and the Beautiful. Now, let me just say that there is 32 lessons. And when I went online and I looked at the samples and I read through what I thought was pretty thoroughly. And I was like, okay, well, if I do 32, there's 32 lessons. If we do 4 lessons a week, we'll be done in 8 weeks and we'll finish this by the end of the school year. We're going to completely pause our history curriculum, which is The Beautiful Feet, early American history. We're going to pause that. We'll pick that up in the summer and then continue into next school year, just flow, but we'll take a break because where we were at in Beautiful Feet books was the Revolutionary War. So I was like, well, that is perfect timing. We'll take a pause and we'll really get an in-depth look at what the American government is and the Constitution and all that. So I ordered it and it came, and says it is grades 4th through 8th. And again, I have a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 2nd grader. So we had decided to do this with our, just in our morning time to replace history for a little bit, pause history. And as we were getting into it, these lessons, so it comes with, this is the main course book. It comes with a student journal. So let me just kind of show you. There's different lessons in here. And then it comes with a student journal, and they're writing in this student journal every lesson. And then it also comes with a chapter book, Mystery on Constitution Island, and it tells you when to read it, and it corresponds with the lessons. So it's done very well. It wants to go into detail. It wants to share hey, listen, let's think critically, which I'm all about that. Let's think critically about things that we hear, and let's look into what these claims are. Whether it's about the United States, the president, the Congress, whatever it is, the First Continental Congress, any of that, let's actually see from primary resource, not just what we, kind of hearsay, but actually what is the primary source? What are their actual words? And I do appreciate that it wants to not just go by, well, what does this person think? And what is, because everybody's going to have an opinion one way or another, but getting back to the actual roots of what did these people say and what is the actual evidence? And it does history case files and all that. So it's done well. But the lessons take a solid hour, I would say. And while my oldest daughter could handle that, my other two, it's just, they just zone out. And that's kind of long, like for a second grader and fourth grader to be listening to, and I know it says for fourth grade, but even a fourth grader, she was just, they tried, bless their hearts, they did try. But so I was having to break the lessons up into just half a lesson here and there. So at this rate, it was going to take us like 16 weeks just to get through this. And also I was realizing, like, I don't think my second grader and my fourth grader are truly absorbing this, just because I would ask them questions. And I mean, it was just completely way off. Like every answer to every question was the Declaration of Independence, kind of like, that's just our pat answer for everything. And we're just going to hope that sometime it's right. So they were not quite grasping it. My sixth grader, she absorbed it and she understood. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this. I'm going to put a pin in this, and I am going to save this for my oldest daughter next year. And me and her are going to do this. So we probably will do this the first half of the year, just together. I don't know how that's going to look. I would like to do this together. It may, just depending on my time, it may be that she does this independently. I don't want it to be, but it might. She would absolutely be fine doing this independently. Like, this is no problem for her. This would be no big deal, but I would just like to do it together, just because I don't want everything she does independently. And I'd like to know this for myself too. So we'll see how that goes. I'll kind of update, but I for sure will do this. It's just going to be with her. And then, so we took a couple weeks off of our history, but now we're continuing again our history, and we're right around like the 1800s, Louisiana Purchase kind of time frame. And so I anticipate we'll get a right to like pioneer times, that type of thing. I don't think we'll get to like the Civil War era. We're going to probably save that either for the summer or for next school year. So whereas most people are probably sane and just finishing up their curriculum and calling it a year, I am the loony bin who is like, hey, let's start an entirely new curriculum in April at the very end of the year, when everybody is tired and ready to be done for the year. Let's start something new. I don't know why. I don't know what possesses me to do this. I really don't, but don't do what I do. Because the government courses were taking so long, I ended up just like pausing pretty much all of our science curriculum that we were doing, which is sunlight and the good and the beautiful. We're doing like the human body, the human mind. So I ended up just pausing that, because I'm like, there's just too much going on. There's too much. Something's got to get held back. So while in the midst of doing the government course, I paused it, and I did pick back up. We've had this, but we kind of have not done it that much this year. This is Indescribable, 100 Devotions About God and Science. So we just read like one of these a day. It really incorporates all different types of science. It starts off giving like a little scientific lesson, and then it somehow like relates it to the Bible and God, and then it has like a verse and it has a prayer. And so this is kind of Bible and science all in one, and we just needed it. We needed a little brain break, and so we'll pick back up strong maybe in the summer, maybe in for sure in the next school year with actual science. But for now, we are just enjoying reading these. And so I actually am going to be giving what our summer is going to look like, summer plans. That video is going to be coming next. We're going to be doing something we've never really done before. We are not year-round homeschoolers. We are, we follow a traditional school year. So this is going to look different. It's a little experimental for us. So if you're wanting to know what we're going to be doing, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that video. How we are going with activities and things like that. My oldest and my second grader, they are still doing piano weekly. My middle daughter finished with theater. She wrapped that up in March, and she wanted to, and my oldest actually wanted to do the spring/summer theater, but I was like, there's too much going on. No, we gotta hold back. You can do it in the fall, because my oldest daughter is playing softball, and my husband is assistant coach to her, and he is playing softball, which I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know about that one, but he's playing with the church league. He has been dying to play for years and years. It's been forever. And so he's happy that he's playing. He comes back like all sore and achy. But so anyway, needless to say, our spring has been quite full, especially our May. And I was sharing on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I don't know about you, but like, I don't like all the going and going and going all the time, and like feeling like you're just kind of perpetually like, if I like just treading water, and like if I pump the brakes for even a second, like I'm just going to be flooded and not just be way behind. And I don't like that feeling. And I was saying I was just sharing on Instagram, and I got a lot of feedback, positive feedback, that a lot of people feel this way too. So let me know how you feel. Just sometimes looking around, even at like other creators, YouTube moms, Instagram, whatever, I'm being like, oh my goodness, like how do they do all that? I feel like I'm drowning right now. And so a lot of people actually came and I was just talking about like, you know, it's hard to me to find time to even like film a YouTube video. Like from the minute I get up till I go to sleep, like I fall asleep pretty much right away because I'm going constantly. And my priority is my house and my children and homeschool and my husband, and that will always be my priority. So unfortunately, you know, YouTube and for sure Instagram takes a back burner, which I do feel bad about, but I also know that my ministry, my first ministry and my first priority is always going to be my children, my family, my husband. That's just going to be what it is. So it's been hard to find like a balance, but I'm trying to prioritize like carving away a little bit of time to be more consistent on YouTube. And so anyway, a lot of people message me and could relate to that. And so I know that it's not just me. So if you are looking at other people on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or wherever, even in your own community, even in your own, like at a co-op or whatever, then don't like, I don't know. There's a lot of us feeling the same way. Even people who seem like, oh, they're juggling all these, a lot of them may actually be doing it, but that doesn't mean inside they're not feeling that exact same way. Like they're just treading water. So anyway, it's hard. It's definitely a fine balance. And that is something I am always praying and giving to God and showing like, please lead me, guide me directly, and give me patience and grace for this season, and show me like what you want me to be doing. And so, it's always that process. So I don't know why I shared that. I think just to share like, oh, it's been a very busy spring, and very, very busy. And I just still feel like, oh, in May, we are still hitting the ground running, and, or not hitting the ground running. We're still running that marathon, and looking almost kind of at the end. We are almost there at the end. And so got a couple more weeks to go, but trying to still enjoy it and not just have that perspective of like, oh, I can't wait, because I don't like having that. I like to enjoy every season I'm in, including even if it's these types of busy seasons. I am going to actually be actively trying to next May, especially because I know it's going to be a busy year next May if they continue with softball, my husband and daughter, and all the other stuff that May has to offer. I'm going to try to have most of our core curriculum trying to wrap up in May, like be finished by May, and not scrambling at the end of the year. So anyway, that was my Q4 update. I will be giving a full review on all of our curriculum, again, the individual subjects and the group subjects and all that, kind of how it went, and any tips or tricks or anything like that. So look out for that video. I will have that. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those types of videos. And if you did like this, you could give it a thumbs up or leave a comment down below. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a good day. Remember, we got this. Just a couple more weeks till summer. We can do this. All right, you guys, take care. Bye.